You're listening to the Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast, and I'm Lou Temlet. I'm guessing you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats, are considering getting on the mats, or maybe taking your competitive self to train. I'm so happy you're here listening or watching this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When your goal is not to just win gold medals, but also inspire others, start competing in Jiu-Jitsu. I'd like to welcome double gold medalist in the English Open, Barbara Pellegrino, to my podcast. Hi, Barbara. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Fantastic. It's an absolute honour to have you here. And I'm very excited to have a conversation with you about competing because I've registered for my very first competition. Now, actually, probably not my first, but I'm hoping to get a match. But first of all, I want to ask you about being a double gold medalist in the English Open. Tell me more.
Well, when you go into competition, you don't know if you're going to win or what's going to happen. But I just take one fight at a time. And I thought in my division that was a straight final because there was just the two of us. And it started out badly because my opponent took my back. Like tremendously badly. But I was able to escape and kind of make up the points. And I was able to eventually win on points. And I was very relieved. So I won my division. And then I registered for the absolutes. And again, that was a little bit of a bigger division. I had to win 3 fights for gold. And again, I just took it one fight at a time. And I was able to build some momentum. And then I think I won the last 2 fights by submission. So that was
amazing.
Nice. But then you get the medal and you're happy for a little bit. And then you just think, okay, what's next? So.
Oh, I love that. I love the energy of what's next and one fight at a time. Now, I know some of my listeners have aspirations to compete in the IBJJF level, internationally, nationally, all over the world and wherever. Now, I'd love you to share some advice for those thinking about competing internationally. We're going straight in here, Barbara, with all of the information, but we'll head back to, when you started in a minute. But I'm eager for the information.
I would just say go for it. That's really the only advice. I do think when you start competing more internationally, the level is higher. But I think that's mostly because the competitions are more expensive.
Yes.
So you tend to get people that are quite committed to competing.
Yeah.
So it's difficult that this is going to be their first competition at the belt, or it could be. But I just say go for it, give it your best shot, and then learn from it, and then you go again. It just takes a little bit of practice. Before my first IBJJF comp, it was the London Open. It was quite soon after my belt promotion, maybe just a couple of months, 2-3 months, something like that. Yeah, I was really nervous. It was similar sort of nerves that I had before my very, very first competition at white belt.
Yeah.
But then I felt the level was higher, and I think that took the best jiu-jitsu out of me. I ended up fighting better than I'd been sparring.
Oh, wow.
I still lost the fight, but I thought my opponent was a lot better than me, and I was able to sort of stay in there. And I think that's it. I think you just have to just kind of sort of get the ball rolling, do one, and then you get used to the extra nerves. You get used to the stricter gi checks and the weigh-in just before you fight. And that becomes normal, and you go next time knowing the routine, and it's a little bit less stressful, and you just get better and better at competing at a higher level.
I love it. I love the continuity, the continuing competing, and just the energy of it all. So, Barbara, let's go back to when you started training jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, well, I started at a very, very strange time because it was in between lockdowns. So, yeah, in the midst of the pandemic, I thought, you know what, I should try something new. And I think I had a bit of a tough time during the first lockdown. My family was away in Italy where I'm from. where they live. I was in Nottingham. I couldn't go see them. I couldn't go back home. Everything was online, so I didn't see any point staying in Nottingham, but I couldn't go because there were no flights.
Yeah.
Most of my friends had kind of moved away from Nottingham after university, so it was kind of spread around the country, and I felt I was a bit isolated.
Yeah.
So it had been at the back of my mind to start some martial art, but I really didn't want to get punched in the face.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Barbara.
I really didn't want to get punched in the face, so I definitely wasn't going to do any striking. So I thought a bit about judo because I knew somebody who did judo, and then I started listening to podcasts. And in the podcasts, it seemed like every successful person was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I knew nothing about it, absolutely nothing. But I did some research. Turns out, school in Nottingham, University of Nottingham, it's a pretty big and famous school in the UK. I thought, I'll give it a go. And I went, and we had to do solo drills.
Oh my God.
The restrictions.
Of course.
I remember my first class, and it made absolutely no sense whatsoever. But I was committed to it. I know it's going to be strange because we're in the middle of lockdowns. I'm going to give it a good go. And then the atmosphere there was very welcoming, very friendly. I was like, this is a good place to be if I understood nothing of the sport. So I signed up, and then I was lucky enough that I met someone there who just started the same as me, and we were like, can we be in a bubble so we can train together, because there were bubbles at the time. There were 60 bubbles.
I remember the bubble time.
I'm in your household. And so I could be in his bubble. And then, funny story, we got to know each other, training, and then next thing I knew, we were together, and he was moving in with me. So,
well, that's very handy, having a training partner on site. I must admit.
Yeah, and met the love of my life.
Oh, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it's our first common purchase, and it was maths, because then in November, we started just in September. In November, it was another lockdown, so classes were on Zoom. So we were like, so we bought ourselves mats. We were living in a tiny apartment that was really just for one person, but now there was the two of us. And we're just learning. And you imagine like brand new white belts trying to do techniques, trying to learn via Zoom.
I love it. I
was trying to teach us how to move through the Zoom. It was difficult, awkward and difficult. Specific training was distractive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of the solo drills. I don't do enough solo drills. I feel like that needs to be part of my game. All of the kind of stand-ups and everything else. And I see a lot of the purple belts doing solo drills all the time when there's spare time.
You think, maybe try like penetration steps and things like that, like over hip escapes. It wasn't that. We were like miming the technique.
Oh no!
Yeah.
So oh my gosh!
It was tricky. But yeah, so I was well happy there and well lucky that I was able to train with a partner throughout the takedowns.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. that wasn't a Freudian slip at all. That was you were practicing takedowns, Barbara.
I forgot.
Okay, that's fair enough. Oh, enough of the takedowns. We love takedowns. If only we could all pull them off all the time. Yeah. That would be my superhero move, if I could always pull off takedowns. Anyway, I'll have to do some vision boarding and dream about takedowns. Barbara, talking about pulling guard, is this one of your kind of specialities? And if not, what is?
Right. So yeah, I pull guard mostly because I'm afraid to break my neck if I try a takedown. I did at white belt. I learned to do a collar drag, and I did that, and it carried me through white belt. When I got to blue belt, it turned out that people didn't just let you do things anymore.
Was that the problem of people fighting back? Yes.
Yeah. And then I think in my first fight, at blue belt, or one of the first few fights at blue belts, I found out I couldn't get on top, and I kept getting taken down and having to play on bottoms, and it became apparent that I didn't really have a guard. So then I started working on my guard, and it became more comfortable to pull guard. I don't know. I don't. As a blue belt, I don't think I have a specialty yet. I'm trying to keep my mind as open as possible to new things. There are definitely things that are like positions that I'm comfortable in, and positions that I'm not comfortable in. But the ones that I'm not comfortable in, I think I just need to get to them, like with training in time until I'm comfortable everywhere or as close to everywhere as I can.
Yeah, I still have trouble with high mount on the bottom, and I just go, help. I it's always watching the Instagram reels and, just drilling those moves during class. But there's only so much pain you can put yourself through, surely. So, Barbara, so no previous experience of martial arts, but you've done your research, and I was really overjoyed to hear that, successful people train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm going to cheer for that one, and I'm still on the list at the very bottom and working my way up. But what did you find out about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when you were researching? What else kind of inspired you to take that step?
Oh, not much at all, actually. I just knew that it was some sort of grappling martial art. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I didn't watch any videos of it. And I think, to be fair, if I did, it wouldn't have made any sense.
Yes, I agree. And actually, I didn't know anything about grappling sports or martial arts at all. And I think that's why I'm now still so intrigued, because I knew nothing prior to kind of training martial arts. Dancing and coding and being techie is kind of my basis. But I just found so much joy from training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Tell me about the English Open and we've done the double gold medal, but tell me about your other achievements throughout competing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
I guess the biggest one would have been getting silver in Nogi Euros last October. That's probably, I'd say that's probably the biggest one. Most recently, I competed at the London Open again, the IBJJF London Open again, and I won my division, although it was just a straight final. And I got bronze in the absolutes, which, again, it wasn't gold, but I was really happy about how I fought, and I thought I displayed a lot of techniques, and I tried a lot of things that I hadn't tried before, or techniques that I just learned like in the past week or something like that, and somehow in competition. I was very proud of that, and I got to fight some amazing athletes, and when the timer went and I knew that I was down on points, I was like smiling because I thought I'd done my very best, and
good.
The woman was better than me.
It's so good hearing that you've done your best, and you've even learning moves from the week before. How amazing is that? I mean, I guess it's just your kind of stack of memory that actually, if that's the freshest thing in your mind, then
I think it's just an adrenaline thing. I think less, but maybe just fresh in my memory. I don't know, but it's not the first time that I pulled off a move for the first time in competition. So
Barbara, you're just too good.
No. It's not. I think it's just the adrenaline. It makes you move a little bit faster.
Do you get excitement? I'm feeling excited just talking to you about competing.
Oh yeah. I definitely get very excited, and I get excited and nervous, and it swings between the two. Yeah. And it's a fine balance to find the right mindset. I don't always get it right. Yeah. But definitely I get very excited. Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to take the excitement for my first competition, Barbara, from your inspiration. So give me some of these moves that you have pulled off in competition, just so that I can look them up, please.
Right. So the first one, I don't know if you're familiar with Keymaster Guard. But
Ooh.
from Key Master Guard, I wanted to enter X Guard, which I get quite a lot of sweets from, but I could never get it right. And until like maybe just a few days before the competition, I was talking about it to my professor in competition class, and he said, "Oh, you should just move your knee across a little bit more."
Yeah.
And as I was in that position competing, I get into Key Master very often. I thought, move the knee across a little bit further, and I did that, and it worked, and I was overjoyed that it worked.
Okay, so at that point in competition, I would be going, "Oh my gosh, have you just seen this move?" And of course you can't, you have to keep competing. But if you got that little bit of energy and excitement in you, go, "Yes, I pulled off that move."
Yeah, I definitely had that thought. I was like, I can't wait to tell people.
They saw it, Barbara, it's fine.
yeah, and then it got missed in film, and I was
so no! Did it really happen?
It did 100% happen, because the video started with me in Next Guard, so I must have gotten there somehow.
I love it. I absolutely love it. You are such an inspiration, Barbara. We have not finished talking. We've got so much more to talk about. This is the Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. Go and check out the latest video clips of the show over on Instagram at ju.jitsu.lou. And if you're listening or watching on your favourite podcast platform, I'd really appreciate you dropping me a rating and a review. Today, I'm having a conversation with Barbara Pellegrino, double gold medalist of the English Open. So, Barbara, we've spoken a lot about your competition and competitive time over the last 2 or 3 years. So how long have you been competing?
Pretty much since I got my third stripe on my white belt. I think that took maybe 8 months or so, because again, so in between lockdowns, so we couldn't get promoted for a long time. I think normally it's about 6 months maybe for the third stripe, but it took like 8 to 9 months for mine and my partners. But then immediately I knew that I wanted to try competition. I've always been a bit competitive, to be completely
I love it.
I feel I have this desire to keep testing myself. But yeah, so I signed up to the first competition. It was just a month after I started inspiring. I got absolutely destroyed. But then on the car journey back, as I was crying my eyes out, I signed up to the next competition. I didn't get a fight. It was the British Open. I didn't get a fight so I competed again 2 months after, and it was just a local one, but I won, and I was so happy that I managed to win a fight. And then since then, I've pretty much tried to compete on average once a month.
That's amazing. I just have this image of you bawling your eyes out, feeling really downhearted, but yet still sneakily registering for the next competition in the car on the way home.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of us have done that, or at least had the thoughts and the conversations to register for the next one, even though it's been a devastating loss and learning at that point. Yeah, I'm just in awe and inspired by you already, Barbara. I'm probably not going to be able to stop talking about this. It's quite amazing. So you train at Gracie Barr Hart in Nottingham.
Yeah.
And I do now know that you are an ambassador for Gracie Barr Hart for this year. Yeah. Tell me about what you had to go through to become an ambassador.
It's just a simple application process. There's a point system for different competitions, and it's if you're a Gracie Barr athlete, you can just look it up. So I added up my points for the competitions that gave points, and I just applied to it. It's just a very simple application process.
Amazing.
And then it just up to Gracie Barr to choose the ambassadors, and I was lucky enough to be chosen to be one for this year, and I'm honoured to be one.
Fantastic. And at the top of the show, I mentioned not just about winning gold medals, but inspiring others. Now, I know that's your mission. How are you going about, apart from talking about your competition and your competing career, how else do you go about inspiring others to compete or even start training jiu-jitsu, what do you do?
First of all, I compete because I think that's you have a big platform, and do a little post after every competition, whether I won or lost. I just say anyway. But then, like within the academy, I try to be a role model as much as I can. So the way I act and like my attitude in training, hopefully it reflects one of a high-level athlete. I hope so. I don't know if I'm doing a good job at it or not.
I think you're doing a good job, Barbara. I think you're doing a very good job.
But also, I've had somebody telling me that it was an honor to train with me, and like nobody's ever said that to me about anything, and I didn't even know how to take it. It was, well, I'm not like that, too kind. Too kind.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like jiu-jitsu. I can come and train. It was very
humbling.
I don't even know what the emotion is, but I was very surprised to hear something like that, and pleasantly so, obviously.
Yes.
But I try to speak, in the changing rooms, and to others, anybody asks questions, I try to answer like honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I could be doing more.
No, I mean it sounds amazing. I think maybe as women, and some men may experience this as well. When someone says something really kind to you, how do you receive it? How can we learn? And that's maybe as much of a challenge in our learning stakes as, learning and training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, how to receive those wonderful comments graciously as well. But it sounds like you've done a fantastic job, and, everyone's, in awe of your abilities and your tenacity and just your continued efforts to just keep going and keep competing. But it just sounds like you've got a little bug in the system, and it's like, that competitive aspect is going to shine through regardless of what you're doing.
One thing maybe that add is that I really had to check myself on how I act after I lost, because there's been times that I'm not proud of how I responded to having lost. And I think since the ambassadorship, I really thought about like keeping my emotions in check, and even, or at least putting them aside until a moment when it's private, or just with my partner, or even like with coach or professor or somebody I can talk them through, rather than just kind of go and sit in a corner and be a grumpy person.
I know. I mean, it would be so easy to do, and I think sharing our emotions, whether positive or negative, it's really healthy, and you're a role model for so many individuals, so many athletes in jiu-jitsu, and just to know that it's okay. My son has competed and lost in one competition, and half an hour after that, it was like, I want to compete again. So I think he's got a little bit of the competitive spirit, but it was so heartbreaking as a parent to support his emotions and the tears and the kind of adrenaline, but then the kind of broken-hearted emotion that kind of comes out from that. And I know it can be really hard. But equally finding, some friends and professors, coaches around to support you as well. And I think positive and negative, or, just either winning or learning or losing, it's having that support network to.
I also think it's important to learn to process these emotions. So I would definitely encourage children to compete, because you win but you lose, and losing hurts. It really does hurt. I don't know, I felt disappointed and ashamed. And you have to let yourself feel those emotions and kind of work through them, and learn that your own worth is not attached to the competition result. And I think, if you can learn that when you're younger, that's better than later on. If if you attach your self-worth to winning or just having like success that is external, it's got nothing to do with your own personal growth, I guess. It can be really challenging to get out of that mindset. So I'm grateful for the wins, but I'm grateful for the losses. Apart from the technical aspects of jiu-jitsu, but you learn a lot.
I remember you saying at the beginning of the episode, winning a gold medal, but then almost feeling deflated. You've won. Now what?
It's strange. I think
so it almost feels like if you win, there's just a more heightened emotion, kind of in different directions. That then it's like, well, I've got this gold. Now what? So it sounds like there's a lot of challenges with any competition, but ones that we should take wholeheartedly and just step into and get on with.
I decided I'm giving myself 24 hours either way. So if I win, I get to be happy for 24 hours, and then I start thinking about what I did wrong and like what's coming next. And if I lose, I give myself 24 hours to be sad.
Nice.
And then after that, again, what's next? What did I do wrong? How can I improve? And I think I competed in Europeans recently, and I had loads of expectations going into it, because last year I competed a blue belt and I won one fight, and the second fight I felt that I lost, but I thought I was close, like it was achievable. And I thought it's definitely something I could win. And then this time around I felt really good. I won like nationally, and then I went into my first fight. I put up 9 points, and I was in mount. I got distracted because I thought,
no.
And then the person was able to recover close guard, and I went to stand up too fast. I got armbarred. I didn't dab for ages because I didn't want to dab. I had my elbow. I had to dab out. And then after that, it was quite heartbreaking. But then my partner was like, well, you need 24 hours to grieve, and then you feel better. And I'm grateful he said that, because now that's it. 24 hours.
Good advice.
It's a right amount of time. Either way, because 5 minutes to be happy is too short.
Absolutely. And I'm kind of pleased. I'm a white belt, Barbara, and I'm pleased to hear that blue belts still get armbarred.
Black belts get armbarred.
Okay, that's reassurance enough for me that it's okay to get armbarred occasionally.
But someone's got to win, right? Someone's got to get the submission. That's the point of the sport, getting the submission.
Okay, Barbara, what is your favourite submission?
I don't think I have one.
Okay.
I think that every time that I liked a move and I got kind of obsessive about a move, then that got me in trouble, because I was really thinking of trying to get that omoplata so much, and then it wasn't there. So I don't think I do. I think the submissions I get the most often are probably armbar triangles, omoplatas, bow and arrows. Nice. But I wouldn't say any of them is my go-to move. I don't think I have a go-to move.
Okay. I like that philosophy, that actually if you're focusing on a specific submission, then actually you've forgotten about and focusing on the general submissions if they happen to kind of come up and be an opportunity for you as well. It's amazing. Please, may I ask, is your partner ranked at the same level as you, or have you surpassed in kind of partner stakes in rankings?
No. I think we got most of our stripes at the same time at white belt, and then I got the blue belt just a little bit before him. And I think it was just because I was winning at white belt in competitions, and it was time. It was time to move up. Well, I hadn't had sort of the same success, but also male divisions are much, much bigger. So I only had to win like 1 or 2 fights to get gold, while he would have had to win like 4, 5, 6 fights.
Do you know what? I hadn't considered that for the guys, that they would have more matches to rank.
The flip side of it is that they get, for one competition, if they have several fights, they get a lot of mat time, a lot of experience, a lot of footage.
Yeah.
But for me, I have to compete in 3 times as many competitions to get the same amount of footage or experience on the mats. So I think I just got my blue belt a little bit before him. And then he didn't really like competition quite as much. Then he got his blue belt like in the summer seminar, like what everybody else got their blue belts. And then since then, we just got stripes here and there. And now we're both 3 stripes. I think because I compete more, I tend to get promoted a bit slower. He doesn't really compete, so he was a little bit behind, but now he's caught up with the 3 stripes. So it doesn't.
Good.
Really
it does sound like you're very competitive, and actually, I don't know, 2 lots of competitive spirits in one relationship. Who knows? Who knows? I would love you to offer some advice to the young individuals training and competing in the UK about some advice on mindset, or how they can kind of go about applying competing on an international level and the benefits for them.
In terms of mindset, I would say if you like to compete, do compete as often as you can. Obviously, it's expensive, so sometimes you just can't. But when you do have the opportunity to compete, do compete. Don't just like pass you by. If that's what your goal is. Competition is not for everybody, but if you do want to compete, just do it as often as you can. Be humble, be gracious in your wins and defeats. Try and learn from it as much as you possibly can. Whether you won or you lost, try and really watch the videos of your fights. Get somebody to film you and really watch them like with an attentive eye and see where you could have done better. It's not for the highlight reels to put in on Instagram, but I do that as well because it's fun. But do look at what you did wrong and try to improve. In terms of applying for it, I think if you want to compete in IBJJF, you have to have IBJJF membership. They tend to be, I think the membership is only like £20 for the year, $20 or something like that for the year. So the membership itself is not very expensive, but then the competitions are. So you have to plan in advance, but there's not that many in Europe. I know I think Dublin has the European
Yeah.
And recently the London Open had kids categories, but as far as I know, in Europe there's only these 2. So it's coming up, so you can plan for it and you can train for it. But then if you want to do it more, you have to go to America, and then not everybody's got that sort of budget. So if you don't have that sort of budget, just know there's a couple that you can do in Europe that is achievable. So if you have to just help out around the house or get the paper round to save some money or do whatever it is that you have to do to like save up for it, but in advance so you can plan for it.
Yeah. Fantastic. So that's I think that's amazing. Okay, is there anything else that you want to talk about in terms of your journey and where you're going next?
I think I've talked quite a lot about my journey. It's just been a
so where next? Where next, Barbara?
Where next? I got a few competitions lined up, but I'm preparing for Worlds. Be my first time at Worlds. Probably the only time at adult Worlds.
Come on, where's that competitive spirit, Barbara?
We got some other things planned for 2025, so decided if I was gonna give it a shot, this was gonna be the year. It really wasn't. I really wasn't going to do it. I wasn't thinking about it. I thought it was too expensive and everything. But then Euros was a little bit disappointing for me, and I thought I'm quite deep into my belt.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm gonna have a chance next year. So if I'm going to do it, this is the year. And then I'm just gonna get older and older. So it's just gonna get harder and harder. So yes, so I got Worlds lined up, and then after that, I hope I get to train a bit of nogi again.
Yeah,
because I was hating it. I was absolutely hating it, but then I realized it made my game better overall. So I think I'd like to train a bit of nogi in the summer and maybe have another crack at nogi Euros. Hopefully get the goal
Amazing.
in October.
Amazing. Fantastic. Barbara, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I'm really honoured to have, as far as I know, my first double gold medalist on the show. You are such an inspiration to so many people, and I really wish you well at your competitions and that your competitive spirit stays with you forever. I think you have no fear of it going anywhere. I think, it's one of those intrinsic values of your personality, which is just amazing. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Thank you.
Well, I wish you well for your next competition, and maybe come back and have another chat on the show very soon.
Absolutely.
Great stuff. Thank you, Barbara. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for telling your friends about this show. And as soon as this episode ends, I'd love you to rate and review the show. Thanks again for listening. Catch you on the next episode of the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast.